Except for a few of the wrestling techniques, turning the body is not explicitly mentioned in Lecküchner's Messer, but it is shown in many of the illustrations. One should be very careful not to draw too many conclusions from illustrations in medieval fencing manuscripts, but if something turns up over and over again, it probably does mean something. Turning the body can be very useful for power generation. There are simply bigger muscles elsewhere in the body than what you've got in your arm. There are also other advantages. A turn can bring the shoulder of your weapon arm forward, giving you more range, and also pull your open side away from your opponent. What's going to be described here isn't the only way to turn the body, but it will take you to or through a position that matches the illustrations reasonably well. As we will not use stepping in any of the drills in this video, drills require little space, which can be useful if you are, for example, training at home. Even if we're not stepping in these drills, the turn should not be seen as entirely separate from stepping. As we're moving weight off the foot we're turning away from, it's very easy to immediately make a passing step with that foot. Well, that's a subject for another time. The turn is here used to power an Oberhau. Do this as a warm-up with large, slow, and fluid movement. Stand with your dominant foot back. You need to have a fairly wide stance, otherwise you risk becoming unstable as you turn. You also need to bend your knees. A lot of power comes from straightening the leg you're turning away from. If the legs are already straight from the start, you can't generate any power that way. Your rear foot will be pointing somewhat out and your front foot forward. Knees should point in the same direction as the feet. Straighten your rear leg to push that hip and shoulder forward. Rotate on the ball of your foot. When the turn is complete, your rear foot is now pointing forward and your front foot a bit out to the side. The knees are still in the same direction as the feet. Always keep knees and feet aligned, otherwise you will sooner or later mess up your knees. Unterhau. This is the same turn as before and the same slow flow, but we're making an ascending cut instead. Half cuts. When you're properly warmed up, you can speed up. Here we're doing half cuts instead, which means the cut ends with a point forward. Make both the turn and the cut as explosive as possible. Don't use your elbow joint to stop the cut. Instead, use the muscles in your arm to stop the cut with a point forward. Power of thrust with the same turn of the body as before. Make both the turn and the thrust as explosive as possible. Don't stop the thrust with your elbow joint. Tense your muscles towards the end of the thrust so that it is stopped just before reaching maximum extension of the elbow. You can do these exercises with an empty hand too, which requires even less space. The main focus should be the actual turn of the body, but also pay some attention to the orientation of your hand, as that would determine the edge alignment of your messer.